On the Road with Charles Kuralt. Every day at 1:30 and 10 Eastern on the Travel Channel. If you don't have the Travel Channel, call your cable operator today.
And now it's time for the Michelin Drivers Report, brought to you by Michelin and your participating Michelin dealers.
And we have a brand new team at the top of the hour, Terri Smith and Jodi Saeland. They will show you pictures of the flooding that is graphically portrayed here. Dark shades of green. They indicate the possibility of flash flooding. It's been a wild night in Kansas, and that rain is working east into Iowa. Des Moines had well over an inch. Ames, Iowa's had over 3 inches of rain during the past 24 hours. And of course, those locations are near the Mississippi River, so the relentless flooding, well, it's going to stay out here, and more rain is on the way. Roadways west and east across the Mississippi sometimes can't get across the Mississippi because of the flooding having washed out some of the bridges. The rainy travel can also be expected in western Oklahoma and Texas, a scattering of showers in the southeast and parts of Montana, and locally strong to severe thunderstorms are a possibility in Kansas and parts of Missouri. Some gusty winds very close to Topeka right now. Pretty impressive looking radar that we'll be able to show you here on the Weather Channel in about a minute and a half's time. We'll take a look at some of those big thunderstorms in Kansas and elsewhere coming up next. Stay tuned.
For regional Michelin drivers reports, call the Weather Channel Connection, 1-900-WEATHER.
High-performance cars, luxury performance cars, family cars, light trucks. If you've got the car, we've got the tire. Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires.
Find Michelin tires at this dealer near you, because so much is riding on your tires.
Ever watched the Weather Channel Florida forecast and wished you could be there? Your wish could come true with our Florida Fantasy Sweepstakes. Keep watching the Weather Channel for details on how to enter.
Well, let's take all the radars, put them together, and give you a composite view of the nation's weather. Dry in the west, California, no rain elements seen here, but the great concentration of rain continues to churn and develop throughout the nation's heartland. Let's focus in on the state of Kansas right here. That's Oklahoma, that's Kansas, and that is one strong line of thunderstorms which has plowed on through the Russell area, producing some gusty winds and torrential downpours. A lot of roadways in northern Kansas underwater right now, and the area of rain continues to move on towards the east. Looks like Topeka will have some gusty winds over the next 1 to 1.5 hours. Kansas City, watch out. You may be awakened in the pre-dawn hours with some lightning and thunder and some very heavy downpours. Also a few widely scattered showers north of Amarillo, but much of that appears to be weakening a bit just north of that city. Stay tuned to the Weather Channel. In the next hour, we'll be taking a look at your 5-day outlook, the prospects for some beneficial rains in the northeast, and a look at the tropics at 47 minutes after the hour.
Coming up, a look at your local radar. But first, the current local conditions. Conditions. Your local 36-hour forecast from the National Weather Service. Extended forecast. Special regional information. The forecast for cities nationwide. forecast. Your local radar showing any precipitation and its movement during the past 90 minutes. Intensity is indicated by the color code at the top of the screen. You're watching the Weather Channel. Weather you can always turn to for accurate, dependable weather forecasts 24 hours a day.
Good evening. Thanks for tuning into the Weather Channel. Jodi Saeland and Terri Smith with you for this hour of the Weather Channel. And we are watching a very serious situation across the Midwest. Now, about $5 billion worth of damage has been done from the flooding that has taken place across 8 states. Today, President Clinton had a flood summit held, and he promised to be a good partner to help the Midwest recover from the devastating flooding. The president held a meeting with flood state governors this morning. Rand Davenport has more.
The president got a bird's-eye view of the swollen Mississippi and Missouri rivers. Taking a helicopter trip over St. Charles County in Missouri, Clinton told reporters, Mother Nature is having its way with us. The president made his 3rd trip to the Midwest to hold a flood summit. He met with governors from 9 flood-ravaged states to discuss relief efforts.
We are here to deal with basically 2 great issues. One is, what are we going to do right now while everybody is up to their ears in alligators? And the second is, how are we going to keep this effort going over the long run so that we can see these areas through to full recovery?
Administration officials say the nearly $2.5 billion flood relief package will increase as damage assessments go up. And they say immediate relief is on the way.
The purpose, obviously, is to try to expedite aid as quickly as possible. The supplemental provides aid above and beyond what's already in the pipeline, and it tries to anticipate as best as we can the level of assistance that needs to be provided.
Administration officials say federal, state, and local governments will be there to provide long-term aid. But the president says the real courage and strength has come from the flood victims themselves.
And we've also been watching another part of the country see some heavy rains this evening. Actually, it has been
Minutes. Code at the top of the screen. You're watching the Weather Channel. Weather you can always turn to for accurate, dependable weather forecasts 24 hours a day.
The following program is part of Cable in the Classroom, a service of the cable television industry and your local cable company.
I'm a little late for school here. You'll have to excuse me. Welcome to the Weather Classroom. Class is now in session. Terri Smith and Jodi Saeland here. And sit down, get comfortable, because in the next 10 minutes or so, we're going to go through quite a bit. First, in today's focus, we're going to talk about winter precipitation. That means things like snow, sleet, freezing rain, things that you see in the winter months, not things you see right now. Later on, we'll talk about summer precipitation. That's what you'd be seeing right about now. As we look back in history, we don't have to look back too far. We're going to look back to today, and we're going to talk about too much precipitation. So we got winter precipitation, summer precipitation, and too much precipitation, all to tell you about in the next 10 minutes. But if you happen to have your Weather Channel Classroom handbook handy, check out Chapter 6.
Now, winter is actually the rainy season for the folks that live in the West, such as in Oregon, Washington, or California. Now, the precipitation from winter storms is critical to the well-being of the millions of people who make their homes in the region.
High in the California Sierra, Donner Pass is blanketed with snow. In places, the snow measures 9 feet. Good news to those who keep an eye on such things. Randall Osterhuber works at a snow measuring station for the state, and understands the importance of a large snowpack.
About 50% of California's usable water comes from the melting Sierra and snowpack, so it's very important.
The snow melts in the spring and runs off into local reservoirs. Lake Folsom, one of the largest in Northern California, relies on the runoff. Recent rains have built the reservoir to 1/3 of capacity, the highest level in some time. When full, the lake plays a big part in the recreation industry and is an important part of the local economy.
Not only has the recreation use of the reservoir diminished dramatically, but the economic impact on the recreation industry in the suburban Sacramento area has been dramatic.
Many hope the economic tide will soon turn as lake levels rise. Initial signs are encouraging as the snowpack is at its deepest in several years. I'm Jim Cantori, the Weather Channel.
As Terry was talking about when we started out, we don't have to look very far back to talk about the history. We've been talking about the flooding that has been happening across parts of the upper Midwest for some time. In fact, the Mississippi River is at the top of a St. Louis flood wall. A levee broke in the residential area this morning on July 18th, and hundreds of people were forced to evacuate. Jim Pearsons explains.
It took weeks to build this sandbag levee. It took seconds for it to burst.
I was about halfway through my backyard, and I heard like a rumbling, like a jet coming over. And I looked over at the dike, and the sandbags just blew apart. Like 10 foot, it blew out in the water. And it was like a white rafting experience. All that water rushing in at one time.
Residents of this neighborhood had been warned to get out 5 days ago. Many ignored the warning until this morning.
Like I said, it's just a matter of evacuating the people, and everybody's out except for a few, and they're pretty stubborn. But I think once they see this water starting to, inundate their houses, they're going to get out.
Jerry Campbell evacuated his belongings, but says he still won't leave.
Levee broke, that's all you can do. Start loading stuff up.
Now, why wouldn't you get out right now, knowing full well that the water's probably going to come up around your house?
It's my home. It's my home. I got to stay.
We're going to talk about the flooding. Terry will be talking about that coming up shortly. But first, we're going to also talk about how winter precipitation forms. We'll take a look at that. But first, let's take a look at the answer to our question for today. Well, even though it's summertime right now, let's talk about winter precipitation. Let's talk about where the sun is in the winter. Now, here in the northern hemisphere where we are, we don't have the intense sun like we do in the summertime. In fact, the sun actually is shining directly in the southern hemisphere at 23.5 degrees to the south of the equator. That's where the most intense sunlight is. So in the wintertime, we don't have all that sunlight, so we don't have all the warming that we normally see in the summer either. Now, another thing that we talk about here on the Weather Channel is our jet stream, and that's sort of a flow, a highway in the sky, and it kind of navigates where our storm systems go. And in the winter time, that jet stream is pretty far to the south. In fact, it keeps a lot of cool air, a lot of cool weather across the northern, let's say, 2/3 of the nation, and that means at the ground and higher up in the atmosphere. So when we talk about winter precipitation or any precipitation, we always talk about what's going on at the ground and also what's going on above the ground, because that's where all of our precipitation is originating, right? Let's talk about how snow forms first up. We start out with a little crystal. Let's say that little crystal is well above the ground. It's pretty high up, and it's frozen because the air way up here is all below 32 degrees, so it's frozen. Well, it comes down and it falls through a layer of air which is also below 32 degrees, so it stays frozen. It really doesn't have any reason to melt, and it hits the ground, and pretty soon we have what we see as snow. That's how snow comes on down. Well, sleet is another kind of precipitation that we see in the winter. Oftentimes we talk about here at the Weather Channel, and it starts out the same way. We've got the air so cold above 32 or below 32 degrees way up in the atmosphere that we've got our little crystal and it's frozen. What happens is all of a sudden it enters into a slice in the atmosphere that actually is above 32 degrees. So it has time to melt, turns into basically a raindrop. Well, it passes through that, and then all of a sudden, as it gets a little bit closer to the ground, it gets into some air that once again is cold. It's below 32 degrees, so it freezes again, and it freezes into the little pellets that we see, and we call them ice pellets, or we call it sleet. Kind of bounces when it hits the ground, and it's already frozen, so that is what we see as sleet. The third kind, the freezing rain. We don't like to see that because that causes a lot of car accidents, and it freezes on the sidewalks. Same story. We start out with our little frozen ice crystal, our little frozen particle, and we bring it down, all of a sudden it enters into a pretty large area that is above 32 degrees, so it has, as it's falling through this area, it has a lot of time to melt, a lot of time to turn into a raindrop, and it's a raindrop all the way down. All of a sudden it encounters just a little tiny area right above the ground that is below 32 degrees again, and what happens is, as it hits the sidewalk, as it hits the bus, as it hits your car, or the driveway, it freezes as it hits, and that's what we get as freezing rain. We get that layer of ice across all the roadways, and everybody gets into car accidents. So we don't like to see freezing rain in our forecast. And then the other kind is just a cold rain, where we start out with our particle, it falls all the way through the level, all the way down through our layer. The layer is above 32 degrees, and it hits, and it's still rain. The ground is above 32 degrees, so we just get a real cold rain. Well, Terry's going to be talking a little bit about summer precipitation. We can also get frozen precipitation in the summer. These are what the clouds look like in the summer. See how big, how tall they are? Well, Terry's going to talk about that and what kinds of frozen precipitation we get in the summertime.
That's right, Jodi. We do see hail, which is frozen in the summertime with some thunderstorms. Dennis Smith takes a look back to a hailstorm that occurred in Orlando of March of last year.
This is Orlando in March. What an incredible sight. Some residents had to dig their cars out of 5 inches of hail. A very strange occurrence. Hail is normally associated with spring thunderstorms. Hailstones can range in size from small peas to that of golf balls, and sometimes as big as grapefruit. They can break windows, dent cars, and cause extensive crop damage. The life of a hailstone starts as a tiny ice particle in the cold upper reaches of the storm cloud. The updrafts and downdrafts of the thunderstorm take it on a wild roller coaster ride. Down into the warmer air to pick up water droplets, then back up into the colder temperatures, then down again. The stronger the updraft, the longer the ride, the larger the hailstone. Finally, the stone gets too heavy and the mature hailstone races to the ground. The length of the roller coaster ride can be measured by cutting open the hailstone. Each ring of ice represents another trip up and down the thunderstorm. The largest hailstone ever recorded fell in Coffeyville, Kansas, and weighed 1 2/3 pounds. Dennis Smith, The Weather Channel.
All right, let's check out our summer precipitation that Jodi was mentioning, alluding to. This is our jet stream pattern. This is the trends that we've been seeing so far, really through much of the summer. And we've got a very persistent pattern, so it's stayed hot in the southeast and it's been cool in the northwest. And in between, it has been very, very wet. And today was just like yesterday and the day before and the day before that, with the frontal boundary right about here, the cool weather here, the summer weather here, the summer heat. Now, because we've seen this pattern repeating itself so much, we've had record rainfalls. Not only are we seeing flooding, but we've had places like Bismarck and Kalispell that have seen the most rain in 1 month's time that they've ever seen. And we're also watching the rivers crest as a result of all that moisture. Well, Chapter 6, that has the details about precipitation. Check it out.
The Weather Classroom is a production of the Weather Channel. To order the companion book for the Weather Classroom, send $9.95 plus $3.95 shipping and handling to the Weather Channel Education Services, 2600 Cumberland Parkway, Atlanta, Georgia, 30339.
Now, your local forecast, accurate and dependable from the Weather Channel. Current regional conditions. Special regional information. Your local 36-hour forecast from the National Weather Service. region's long-range outlook. The regional forecast. The extended forecast. Your local radar showing any precipitation and its movement during the past 90 minutes. Intensity is indicated by the color code at the top of the screen.
Ever watched the Weather Channel Florida forecast and wished you could be there? Your wish could come true with our Florida Fantasy Sweepstakes. Keep watching the Weather Channel for details on how to enter.
Test the water before you hit the beach. Select from over 150 beach forecasts. 95 cents a minute. Call 1-900-WEATHER.
Pick up my guitar and play, just like yesterday.
Saturday, August 7th on pay-per-view. Live from New York, Pete Townshend's Psycho Derelict.
I'm an English boy.
His first American solo tour, premiering his new rock creation, Psycho Derelict, and featuring Who classics. Staged, televised and captured as it happens on pay-per-view. Saturday, August 7th.
Ever since I was a young boy, played the Super Bowl.
Catch this sold-out concert performance only on pay-per-view.
I'm an English boy. I was brought up right. Hold me down.
Saturday, August 7th, only on pay-per-view. See it, feel it, touch it, order it. Call your cable system now.
If you're about to travel, watch the 5-Day Business Planner here on the Weather Channel at 20 minutes after every hour. You get a comprehensive national report that covers the forecast over the next 5 days. Watch the 5-Day Business Planner coming up soon on the Weather Channel. Now, your local forecast, accurate and dependable from the Weather Channel. Coming up, a look at your local radar. But first, the current conditions. Your local 36-hour forecast from the National Weather Service. Forecast for cities nationwide. Forecast. The current local radar showing any precipitation in your area. Intensity is indicated by the color code at the top of the screen.
Taking a look at your
your Pacific conditions. We'll start with a satellite perspective, and things are going to change a bit in the northwest. A bit of instability here, a weak circulation. It's going to move on shore, may bring a little better chance for some afternoon showers, maybe a thunder shower to the northwest. Following that, some cooler weather for Tuesday. It's not going to affect California weather much, although Tuesday could be just a touch cooler. Let's show you our current weather map across the western part of the country. There's the low, the instability just offshore will be moving in during the day on Monday, with it the chance for some showers and some thunderstorms. Today was fairly sunny. Seattle, Portland had some pretty nice weather overall, but again, the clouds lurking offshore. It's not going to be an overcast day, but especially in the afternoon, the chance that that disturbance could bring more clouds, scattered showers, and some thunderstorms to the area. Temperature-wise, got to 74 at Seattle today. Portland, a nice 80 degrees, so gorgeous weather in the northwest. Again, some changes over the next couple of days, though, as that system makes its way onshore. Right now, just a few clouds in Seattle at 62, Portland at 68 degrees. Over to Spokane, mainly clear skies, and 61 degrees. Heading on down through central California. The valleys had some warm weather today. That will continue for the next couple of days. San Francisco Bay 72, and after some morning low clouds and fog, the afternoon should be fairly nice. Look at our satellite picture of California. You can see the clouds just offshore. They will be building on in, especially central California. Even in the LA area, not much in the way of clouds, but they'll be building on in overnight. Los Angeles got to 81 at the Civic Center. Ontario, 86 degrees, and to the southern deserts, Palm Springs at 104 degrees. Currently 86 there, Ontario at 70, and Long Beach at 69 degrees. A few little mild rumblers out toward the deserts today, only about a 2 to 2.5 on the Richter scale. I'll get it out there. And another minor rumbler up along Highway 5 or Interstate 5 in Northern California. Not much to report in the Pacific Northwest. Here's the latest map of the entire country. Well, Northeast having some nice weather. Heat and humidity, where it's meeting up with weather systems, we're getting some nasty storms. We had some of those come through Chicago today. I'll show you the latest radar out of this area. And we are picking out the rain ending in Chicago now, but some thunder showers from the Miami Valley around Dayton heading on southwest. Some big storms just west of Evansville. These are pushing their way on toward the east. Also some rather intense storms moving through south central and southwestern Minnesota. Some possible tornadoes with these as they continue to head east, and there is a severe thunderstorm watch out for the area till 4 a.m.
Millions of Americans suffer from minor aches and pains. If you or someone you love suffers, there's a new, safe, simple way to help ease pain. Introducing Wrap & Go. Designed in Switzerland, Wrap & Go has been used by millions of Europeans for more than 10 years. This amazing discovery, new in America, works on sore areas 24 hours a day and goes anywhere. This technology is so successful, we've built it into something for head to toe, including back, knee, and elbow pads. Find out which Wrap & Go is right for you. Wrap & Go works by retaining body heat and increasing circulation, which promotes healing. The patented design is easy to use, can last for years, and really works.
Thanks to Wrap & Go, I can ace my serve again.
Call now to find out which Wrap & Go will help you or someone you know. Call 1-800-948-2200. If you suffer from minor aches and pains, call now. Wrap & Go is fully guaranteed. Call 1-800-948-2200.
Well, as we check out the 5-day forecast, we find some drier weather to areas that received the very heavy rains today. We had the flooding around Chicago earlier. Looks like by tomorrow morning that front's going to be moving on through your region of the nation. So that should bring in some drier and some cooler air back behind it, and the showers will be ahead of this front. The area of low pressure is going to head east. The front will head east and south very slowly. That means the rains are going to be overspreading much of the northeast and New England later on in the afternoon. The showers will continue down into parts of Mississippi, actually Missouri and Illinois, along the Mississippi River. And even the heating of the day may result in some isolated showers across parts of the southeast. The northern plains, though, and the Midwest get a chance to dry out, and that's great news. Every bit of dry weather that we get certainly helps. The showers are going to continue, though, along the front back into the central Rockies. We had some heavy rains today in portions of Colorado around Pueblo and Colorado Springs. It's possible to see some more active weather there again come tomorrow. Isolated showers are anticipated for parts of the northwest. We start to watch another weak area of low pressure work its way on into the Evergreen State and Oregon. Those places saw some sunshine today and a warmer day for a change, but it looks like the clouds and some cooler temperatures are back in the offing. Now, as far as our temperatures are concerned for the northwest, it will continue to be kind of coolish. Temperatures in the 30s and 40s, much like we've had the last several mornings, and we will continue very mild basically anywhere east of the Rockies, at least to start off the day. Afternoon readings fairly warm as well, especially in the southeast. We had a lot of record highs set during the day Sunday. Monday is going to be about as hot, about as humid, about as uncomfortable to be outdoors. So if you have outdoor activities planned, make sure you take frequent breaks and get plenty of water to help keep you cool. Northern sections of the country, that's where we're going to find some of the cool weather, though the northwest does warm up a bit. As we head Tuesday on into Wednesday, we'll continue to see the heat down in the southwest, but looks like even the northern valleys of California may cool a bit Tuesday, but then we start warming back up as we head towards Wednesday. Northern half of the country still seeing mild 70s and 80s. The southern half of the country seeing very little in the change of the humidity and the heat continuing right on into Friday. Now, as far as our storms are concerned, Tuesday, that area of low pressure in the front right along the eastern seaboard, that's where we'll find the majority of our showers and scattered thunderstorms. Here's our next area of low pressure sitting over the northern Rockies. So we've got Wednesday to dry out, Tuesday to dry out. Well, Wednesday we start to see some of the rains back into the northern plains, and eventually that'll head on into the Mississippi Valley and across the Great Lakes as we head toward Friday. Otherwise, we are going to be a dry country this week.
Ever watched the Weather Channel Florida forecast and wished you could be there? Your wish could come true with our Florida Fantasy Sweepstakes. Keep watching the Weather Channel for details on how to enter.
Now, your local forecast, accurate and dependable from the Weather Channel. Coming up, a look at your local radar. But first, the current local conditions. Today's regional forecast. Your local 36-hour forecast from the National Weather Service. Local radar showing any precipitation in your area. Intensity is indicated by the color code at the top of the screen.
A few short years ago, Stephen Neal was elected president of the country's largest mail-order company that strictly sells electric beds.
You know, I'm really a lucky guy. I've been blessed with 2 healthy children and a loving wife for over 20 years, and people just love our beds. Each week we receive hundreds of letters from our customers. Here's a letter from an Edna Yagoda. Unlike other companies, you didn't try to high-pressure me into a quick decision by sending a salesman to my home. Your prices were surprisingly affordable and easily beat the competition. Also, that 30-day money-back guarantee and 15-year warranty proved I couldn't go wrong. Now, Fred Wyndham writes, your Wonder Bed is a dream come true. I raise my upper body from my hiatal hernia and elevate my knees from my lower back problem. You see, with absolutely no cost or obligation, all we want to do is send you our free video and brochure. Then it's up to you to decide if you're interested or not. So give us a call today.
All right, let's check out that forecast for tomorrow in the west. Let's start with the satellite picture because that's indicating the trends that our forecast will indicate. A lot of sunshine today across Washington and Oregon earlier. Now the clouds are rolling back in. Why, Terry? Why are we seeing more clouds? Well, we've got another area of low pressure working its way toward the northwest. And let's see, do you remember Friday? Do you remember Thursday? You remember the clouds and the showers? We're going to see more of that. So let's show you the forecast for tomorrow. Now, you can't see the low pressure because it's not at the surface. It's in the upper levels of the atmosphere. But you see these little green blobs? That indicates where the rain is, or will be actually, Monday morning. It's only going to affect the northwest, and it's going to be fairly light if that's any sort of consolation. Temperatures should be all right. They won't be too cool, let's hope. Down to the south, we're going to continue to be warm and dry. And we'll also see our morning clouds rolling back in along the coast in the California area. Across much of the Southland, a little morning cloudiness eventually pushing on off, sunshine replacing it, and another mild day along the coast, but certainly hot in the deserts. The valleys of California are going to warm up very rapidly with all that sunshine, but coastal cities remaining a bit cooler tomorrow, highs there in the 70s. And as we head you on into the northwest, here's some of that high-level cloudiness trying to work its way on in. Maybe some morning showers around Quileute and Coos Bay, and later on in the day we could see some showers around Salem, for instance. But for the most part, it looks like Spokane and Pendleton, you'll be dry, and highs in the 70s and 80s. We'll check the local forecast coming up. We've also got some strong thunderstorms in the northern plains we'll be telling you about. So stick around for a look at your local weather.
If you're traveling abroad or you have friends or family overseas, turn to International Weather middays, 41 minutes past the hour, only on the Weather Channel. Coming up, a look at your local radar. But first, the current local conditions. Regional conditions. Your local 36-hour forecast from the National Weather Service.
One, and if it eventually were to be named, it would be named Boris, but I'm getting way ahead of myself. First, we have to wait and see if he becomes a TD, and we'll be watching that closely. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on in the Atlantic. And again, here we are well into the Atlantic season, tropical storm hurricane season. A little history for you here. Do you remember Hurricane Audrey back in 1957? It made landfall in Louisiana. Very strong hurricane. In fact, the strongest June hurricane to make U.S. landfall, and 381 people were killed, and there you can see the millions of dollars worth in damage. Put that in $94, and it was a very, very big hurricane back in 1957. Well, that's a look at a little bit of history. Let's go into the present and the future now. We'll talk about the points of origin for tropical storms and hurricanes in June, and we'll find that on this particular chart. You go back about 110 years, we've only seen 60 storms, so June isn't necessarily really an active month. That means maybe every other year we see something. We've already seen Arthur developing right about here and then moving up toward the Outer Banks and then finally back out to sea. That was our first tropical storm and our only tropical storm so far this season, but obviously things could get more active as we head through time. Don't know why this got back in here. The next map was supposed to show you that we actually look a little bit further on eastward as we head into the month of July. Something obviously got a little bit mixed up there. So let's go ahead and go on into the satellite picture and give you a better idea of what's happening out there right now. Again, I just told you that as we get closer to July, we start to look out into the western and central portions of the Atlantic. So we'll do that with this particular picture, and you don't see a whole lot of action out there, do you? Maybe a few clouds out here heading out toward the Windward Islands, but really nothing that looks very tropical in nature. Our biggest concern perhaps is this region. I'll zoom in a little bit closer. You'll be able to get a better view of what's happening here. And with this, you can see, once it goes into motion, a lot of cloudiness and a lot of convection across this region as well. And we're a little bit more concerned when you look at the Doppler radar, you can actually see a circulation. You'll see a counterclockwise twist going just opposite the hands on your watch. So it's pulling the moisture in from the Atlantic and wrapping it around. And we've had some pretty good thunderstorms again around Cape Canaveral and moving on through the Orlando area earlier. Still lots of rain, and the potential with this is going to be for heavy rains. And remember, the ground is already saturated in some of these parts. We've also had some gusty winds with this as well. As long as it's over land, it doesn't really stand much of a chance for developing more. But if this were to slip back out into the Gulf of Mexico, it's possible that this could take on some more tropical properties, and we'd have to watch it a little bit closer. So we'll kind of keep an eye on that particular system. But right now, it just means some very unsettled weather for you in Florida, lots of rain and some gusty winds, up to 40 miles per hour in some cases. A little convection here heading across the greater Antilles and on into the lesser Antilles, some cloudiness, but nothing that looks too terribly favorable for development here.
How can the Home Depot help you?
We have people there who can give you ideas.
I'd walk you through the entire project from start to finish.
We're there to educate you, to teach you.
Ingredients for a southern summer heat wave that we're going to be seeing. That low that we've been watching in California is going to continue to move on off towards the north and the east. At the same time, a very strong ridge of high pressure is going to remain in control, and it has a clockwise rotation in the wind flow around it, and so the heat wave is going to expand, and it doesn't allow the cold front to sweep on through. It's going to be a very strong ridge, okay? So what happens is the fronts have to go to the north, up and over that ridge, and most other locales under the influence of this ridge of high pressure will stay very, very hot and very, very dry. Notice the heat underneath the ridge, well into the 90s from Chicago to Indianapolis to the Gulf Coast. And those 90s are actually going to be spilling northward into New York City. Yeah, crank up that air conditioner. You're going to need it. It's going to be a hot one in the park, and it's going to be hot even into Boston. By Monday, it cools down just a bit in Chicago and Indianapolis because the front does go through. Stays dry in the southwest, and it's going to be heating up. Notice the front moves on into the northeast by Sunday. We get some action into New York City and Philly by Monday, so make your plans now for a rainy Monday. But most people have to go back to work anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Speaking of back to work, I'm going back into work tomorrow morning to pick up my paycheck. Got some weather for me?
Good idea. It looks pretty good.
All right, we'll figure out all the travel weather coming up next.
I got a passion.
Maz.
With 77 degrees, some clouds starting to build into Santa Maria at 59 degrees there. San Francisco Bay, partly cloudy at 56. It's clear in Sacramento at 73. Fresno, 83 degrees. Looking at clear skies there. And just a few high clouds now coming into Seattle at 62 and Portland at 68. Eugene looking fairly clear right now at 65 degrees. No seismic activity to report in Washington or Oregon, but a little mild tremor in Northern California along I-5, about a 3 on the Richter scale there, and some other minor ones in the deserts of southern California in that area. Here's a look at the satellite, the current map across the country showing the battleground still in the nation's midsection, where the hot, steamy weather in the south is meeting with the cooler air in the Rockies. One disturbance brought heavy rain to Chicago. That is working east. Another one bringing some pretty big rumblers into Minnesota right now. Some of the rain will be working toward the northeast as we head on into Monday. Let's show you a radar perspective of the entire eastern part of the country, the whole country. Some thunderstorms here. The next round of storms moving on into Minnesota, but they're dying out in the southeast part of the country, but a few big ones still lingering in portions of South Carolina. Let's get a little closer look after some heavy rain in Chicago today. Fortunately, things are quieting down, and the bulk of the heavy rain now from the Dayton area, the Miami Valley, right on down toward Evansville. Some big storms moving through that area as we speak, crossing the Wabash River and continuing to work their way east. And some fast-moving storms here in southern and central Minnesota. A couple of these two cells here, there's been reports of tornadoes with these. So as they continue to work east, take cover if you live in south central Minnesota. Some real nasty rumblers headed east in your direction. As far as the watch goes, there still is a severe thunderstorm watch out for southern Minnesota, that until 4 a.m. Central Daylight Time. Let's take a close-up look at the forecast for the Pacific Coast as we head on into Monday. Again, a little more unstable in the northwest. Could find some showers breaking out. The Puget Sound, the Columbia River Gorge as we head on into the afternoon, but still some pretty good weather. San Francisco Bay down the coast to the LA Basin, where after some morning low clouds, we'll see a fair amount of afternoon sunshine. 65 at Long Beach in the morning, 58 at San Bernardino with partly cloudy, hazy skies. Hazy sunshine will take you up to 90 degrees there. 82 at the Civic Center, and around San Diego, enough hazy sunshine to get us to 78 in the afternoon hours. Heading on up the coast, San Francisco, again some clouds in the Bay Area for the morning, but the midday and afternoon hours look bright and sunny and real nice. San Francisco at 70, Sacramento at 91, and Fresno at 95 degrees. Heading up the coast, again that area of instability moving onshore by tomorrow afternoon. A little better chance for a scattering of showers, maybe a thunder shower, but temperatures still pretty comfortable. 73 at Seattle and Portland at 75 degrees. Taking a look at the rest of your forecast as we head on through the upcoming week. Cool air masses will continue to stream across the northern plains into the northeast part of the country, while the south, it's going to stay hot and steamy, and not much change in the temperatures along the west. Tuesday into Wednesday, maybe a little cooler, especially near the coast, and then we'll probably warm up again as we head toward the end of the week. But the hot air is going to hang tough across the southeast part of the country, but never really make it too far to the north because frontal systems will keep moving along. Our system in the northwest coming in tomorrow moves into the Intermountain region by Tuesday. Still some cool air and showers lingering behind that, and that looks like rain makes a return toward the Plain States Wednesday, Thursday into Friday. Bad news for this area, but cool, dry air pushes into the northeast. While the front gets hung up in the southeast, it may help trigger some afternoon and evening thunderstorms there.
You said, build it tough. You said, make it last. You said, make it affordable. Introducing the Hummer Recruit Series. 2 new Hummer models, the toughest off-road vehicle on earth. One, $39,500. The other, $43,950. You asked for it. Now you've got 2. The Hummer Recruit Series. Hummer, the legend grows.
Hummer, the most serious 4x4 in the world. Call 1-800-REAL-4WD.
Ever watched the Weather Channel Florida forecast and wished you could be there? Your wish could come true with our Florida Fantasy Sweepstakes. Keep watching the Weather Channel for details on how to enter.
Now, your local forecast, accurate and dependable from the Weather Channel. Current regional conditions. Special regional information. Your local 36-hour forecast from the National Weather Service. Region's long-range outlook. The regional forecast. The extended forecast. Local radar showing any precipitation and its movement during the past 90 minutes. Intensity is indicated by the color code at the top of the screen.
Remember that special day and that one very special song that became your song? Now, Quality Records proudly presents The Wedding Album, a beautiful collector's edition. Finally, all those great love songs together on one magnificent collection.
I celebrate my love for you. Light up my life.
The Wedding Album is only available in this special TV offer.
Could save time in a bottle.
On 2 LPs, 2 cassettes, or 1 super CD. The Wedding Album from Quality Records. Order your wedding album now.
To order, call now 1-800-368-1555 or write to the address on your screen.
If you're traveling abroad or you have friends or family overseas, turn to International Weather middays, 41 minutes past the hour, only on the Weather Channel.
Well, today in the northwest, at least along the Washington coast and Oregon coast, west of the mountains, temperatures were normal for a change, but it still was a cool day in the interior regions, and the cool temperatures prevailed back into the northern plains. 71 today was the warmest we saw in Seattle, 82 in Boise, and it looks like tomorrow more clouds in the forecast. but temperatures should stay about the same. So I guess that's about the one bit of good news. It's an area of low pressure that resides in the upper levels of the atmosphere, so you don't see it on our surface map here, but nonetheless you can see the showers painted in green where we're expecting some rain. It's just Washington and Oregon that are going to see the rains, though. Looks like California and the rest of the Southwest will continue to be on the dry side. The marine layer works its way back in again along the coastal regions and into some of the valley sections as well. That'll happen tonight and early in the morning hours, then push on out to sea, and temperatures will warm up with generally sunny skies across much of Southern California and Northern California. Again, the exceptions being right along the coast, where we'll start the day off with a few clouds. Warm one through the valleys of California, including 91 at Sacramento. On into the northwest, it's just going to be a few high clouds, but a light chance of showers, primarily along the east coast, Salem and Coos Bay. Pretty good chance of some rain. And there's some good chances for rain tomorrow across parts of the east as well.
You know, I can't program my own VCR. Now, I'm not stupid. In fact, I'm the president of my own company. But 8 out of 10 of us can't program our own VCRs. That's why I developed a VCR remote control that's controlled by your voice. You just speak right into it and your VCR obeys. For instance, if I wanted to record a movie on Channel 7 on Sunday from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m., I'd say 7, Sunday, 9 p.m., 11 p.m. That's it. I just program my VCR. It's honestly just that simple. Our voice remote works with virtually all brands of VCRs and requires no installation of any kind. Now anyone that can speak can program their VCR. Voice programmers available directly from the manufacturer, not sold in stores. For free information on this incredible breakthrough product, call us now. Call 1-800-347-4400. That's 1-800-347-4400.
You may be unaware of the fact that we had a miniature heat wave in the southeast. The record high temperatures today set in Montgomery and Atlanta. It's been, what, since 1986, I believe, since we've seen triple digits in Atlanta. It was 91 in Chicago, so a lot of heat and humidity continuing ahead of that frontal system that has been dividing the cooler air here and the warm and humid air here. And it looks like more heat and humidity will prevail again tomorrow from Texas, Arkansas. There are already heat advisories out and in effect for tomorrow. Parts of the southeast and the southwest is going to continue hot as well. Humidity not as high there, so it's not going to be as great a factor if you're going to be heading outside as if you were in Georgia or Florida or Alabama or Arkansas and into Texas. And it looks like Monday on into Tuesday, the heat will prevail throughout much of the southern sections of the nation. The northern parts of the country not doing too bad. Well, we're going to head you out to the tropical parts of our waters coming up soon. We've got a couple of storms out in the Pacific to tell you about.
Test the water before you hit the beach. Select from over 150 beach forecasts. 95 cents a minute. Call 1-900-WEATHER.
Do you suffer from...
Saturday, August 7th on pay-per-view, live from New York, Pete Townshend's Psycho Derelict. His first American solo tour, premiering his new rock creation, Psycho Derelict, and featuring Who classics. Staged, televised, and captured as it happens on pay-per-view. Saturday, August 7th.
Ever since I was a young boy, played the silver ball.
Catch this sold-out concert performance only on pay-per-view. Saturday, August 7, only on pay-per-view. See it, feel it, touch it, order it. Call your cable system now.
You're watching the Weather Channel for accurate forecasts at your convenience. Weather you can always turn to. Now, your local forecast, accurate and dependable from the Weather Channel.
Coming up, a look at your local radar. But first, the current conditions. Your local 36-hour forecast from the National Weather Service. forecast for cities nationwide. The extended forecast.
A few short years ago, Stephen Neal was elected president of the country's largest mail-order company that strictly sells electric beds.
You know, I'm really a lucky guy. I've been blessed with 2 healthy children and a loving wife for over 20 years, and people just love our beds. Each week we receive hundreds of letters from our customers. Here's a letter from an Edna Yagoda. Unlike other companies, you didn't try to high-pressure me into a quick decision by sending a salesman to my home. Your prices were surprisingly affordable and easily beat the competition. Also, that 30-day money-back guarantee and 15-year warranty proved I couldn't go wrong. Now, Fred Wyndham writes, your Wonder Bed is a dream come true. I raise my upper body from my hiatal hernia and elevate my knees from my lower back problem. You see, with absolutely no cost or obligation, all we want to do is send you our free video and brochure. Then it's up to you to decide if you're interested or not. So give us a call today.
As we look into the tropics, we'll start on the Pacific side where we have a tropical storm, Dora, that continues to wind down. This is what's left of Dora, just barely a tropical storm, winds of 50 miles an hour. It is heading west-northwest toward colder waters, not going to affect any land areas, at least it doesn't look so at this point. Should continue to move on northwest, and over the next day or so, we'll probably will not be talking about Dora anymore. But on its heels, a strong hurricane, Hurricane Eugene, with winds of 115 miles an hour. It is to the southwest of Cabo San Lucas. It also is making its way to the northwest. It'll stay over warm water for the next day, about 24 hours, and that should continue to hold its strength, and then eventually it will also move into colder waters and start to dissipate again before it affects any land mass, and that is some good news. Taking a look at the satellite picture of both of these systems, you can see here that Dora doesn't look very impressive at all. It is falling apart as it moves into colder waters. It looks like a bit of a south to southwest wind kind of ripping it apart just a bit. But Eugene still looking quite strong, moving generally on toward the looks like a little more north of west here as it continues to head in that direction. It will eventually encounter some cooler waters, and it should start to deteriorate, say, at about 48 hours or so. But for the next 24 hours, it'll probably hold its own as it continues to head its way on toward the northwest. Checking on the Atlantic side, pretty strong east to west winds across the Caribbean, so anything that would try to form here would probably get sheared off from the east. And we've got one tropical wave moving toward the Yucatan Peninsula, and that is now making its way on land and is not expected to develop. Into the central Caribbean, not much going on right now, but as we head our way a little bit farther to the east, tropical wave was looking a little more impressive earlier today. It is making its way into South America now. And there's a little bit of a weak trough in the eastern Caribbean, so we weren't expecting it to develop, and now that it is moving on shore, we're not expecting much of that system. We have another tropical wave here in the central Atlantic, another one coming off the African coast, and we've had a very active season in terms of systems coming off the African coast. And as we head into August and these water temperatures start to warm up, we'll be a little more concerned about these systems because the atmospheric conditions are favorable for development in this area. So if this continues, it may have more concern as we head into August. But right now, just watching the waves, plenty of time to watch them as they move across the Atlantic. Let's take a close look at the Pacific forecast, and to be specific. And we've got a weak area of low pressure in the upper atmosphere that'll come on to the northwest coast, and not going to bring much more than a little more instability. So look for maybe some more clouds bubbling up in the afternoon and maybe a shower or thunder shower from the Puget Sound down through the Columbia River Gorge. Well, things aren't going to change much in Southern California. They'll generally have the morning low clouds, the fog spreading inland and even into some of the valleys, the San Bernardino, San Gabriel valleys. Some clouds in the morning, a little fog and hazy sunshine for the afternoon. San Bernardino about 90 degrees. The Civic Center will get to about 82, and down towards San Diego in Southern California, 78 degrees. Heading on up the coast, San Francisco Bay will have some patchy morning low clouds, but most of that will burn off by midday. The interior valleys will be quite warm, up to 91 in Sacramento, 95 degrees at Fresno, and San Francisco and Monterey rounding out at about 70 degrees. As we head to the northwest, here's where that instability comes in. It'll still be a fairly warm day overall. There may be some drizzle along the coast in the morning. Then the showers will pop up in the afternoon hours, especially around Salem and on into the mountains. So that's the way it looks for the west coast. We'll take you traveling for the entire country next.
There's no cleaner clean than Prel. And now the original cleaner Prel Green is back. Work. Clean. There's no cleaner clean. Prel Clean.
Now, your local forecast, accurate and dependable from the Weather Channel. The current local conditions. Local 36-hour forecast from the National Weather Service. Forecast for cities nationwide. Regional forecast. The current local radar showing any precipitation in your area. Intensity is indicated by the color code at the top of the screen.
Ever watched the Weather Channel Florida forecast and wished you could be there? Your wish could come true with our Florida Fantasy Sweepstakes. Keep watching the Weather Channel for details on how to enter.
Select the latest forecast for your destination from close to 300 more international cities. Just 95 cents a minute. Call 1-900-WEATHER.
And now it's time for the Michelin Drivers Report, brought to you by Michelin and your participating Michelin dealers.
Well, if you're traveling tonight or early in the morning hours, for the most part, you're in luck because current weather should not be a problem. Now, we do have some areas that are wet, like portions of Minnesota and Wisconsin may be seeing some rain. Sections of the Ohio Valley stretching from southern Illinois and Indiana back into Ohio, New York, Pennsylvania. Some spots in the southeast here. A few areas in the Front Range of Colorado and Texas. But the rain areas are pretty few and far between, and the threat of severe and strong thunderstorms has greatly diminished as we've headed as we worked our way through the evening hours tonight. But the area shaded in orange and red indicating where we might see some rough weather, meaning gusty winds, small hail, and heavy rain, and lightning too. There is a severe thunderstorm watch in effect here in southern Minnesota. We've had some active thunderstorms producing possible tornadoes earlier. Now, as we check out our national radar right now, we'll get a close-up look coming up in a moment. You can see that we do have some thunderstorms in southwestern Minnesota, some light rain in the Ohio Valley, and showers persisting in the east. No fog to worry about tonight, and no wind to worry about tonight. We'll check out satellites and radars coming up next. Stick around.
For regional Michelin drivers reports, call the Weather Channel Connection, 1-900-WEATHER.
Let it rain. Let it snow. You've got Michelin's new all-season MXV4. A luxury performance tire with a very special feature. Climate controlled. Michelin. Because so much is riding on your tires.
Find Michelin tires at this dealer near you because so much is riding on your tires.
Ever watched the Weather Channel Florida forecast and wished you could be there? Your wish could come true with our Florida Fantasy Sweepstakes. Keep watching the Weather Channel for details on how to enter.
Starting off with our satellite picture, you'll notice here in the northwest some clouds. We've got another area of low pressure that's working its way to Washington and Oregon, and that will mean some rain eventually, but for the time being, conditions across the west are dry. We do have some thunderstorms, though, around portions of Colorado, around Colorado Springs and Pueblo. They've dumped some heavy rains. Now they're starting to drift a little more northeast, but they've been heading to the north, and they are dying down somewhat. Back in toward Kansas, some stronger storms right now, just across the border here from Colorado, and these have been tending to move almost directly east. All right, a quick check of the nation as the whole, and let's head you on into first southwestern Minnesota, where we had a couple of reports of possible funnel clouds along highways 19, I believe it was. Anyhow, heading toward Redwood Falls, this whole line has been pushing off south and east and certainly is capable of producing some very heavy rains. And we continue to see some fairly heavy rains in Ohio and Indiana, especially between Findlay and Dayton and Columbus. They've been basically working their way off toward the east. Your local forecast is coming up right now.
Coming up, a look at your local radar. But first, the current local conditions. Current regional conditions. Local 36-hour forecast from the National Weather Service. Extended forecast. Special regional information. The forecast for cities nationwide. Forecast. local radar showing any precipitation and its movement during the past 90 minutes. Intensity is indicated by the color code at the top of the screen. You're watching the Weather Channel. Weather you can always turn to for accurate, dependable weather forecasts 24 hours a day.
And good morning. Thanks for tuning into the Weather Channel. I'm Jodi Saeland, and I'll be with you for this hour. And we're talking about flooding once again. Now, the Mississippi River continues to rampage through the Midwest. Today, the river left its mark on St. Louis. Jill Davis has details on the story.
The 1,000 residents of this town just a few miles north of St. Louis have been underwater more than a week, and it just keeps getting deeper and deeper.
How's your guys' house look? It's underwater. Right there. But there's not much of the door still showing at the top.
Yeah, right there.
Right there it is. When we visited Don Steinhoff's house 4 days ago, we pulled right up to the front porch. Now, water is covering the first floor. Even though we stacked everything inside up 2 feet high, it's all getting soaked. This is the turnoff to Firehouse Drive on Wednesday. This is it on Sunday. The West Alton Market, then and now. We could fit under this railroad trestle last week, but we had to duck. Now the water's almost within a foot of the bridge. You can see the clearance here is 12'7". There's almost 13 feet of water right here. The current is so swift in parts of town, the Water Patrol found one man hanging in a tree.
Tipped his canoe over coming through the trestles, and when we got up there, he just dove out of the tree into the water and jumped in the boat with us.
He'd been sitting there for an hour and a half?
He'd been sitting there since 7:30. It was like 9 o'clock when we picked him up.
Residents here have seen their town turn into a 15-mile-long lake. The only good news is that with the river cresting, this should be about as deep as it gets.
A very sad sight indeed for the folks in St. Louis and in the West Alton area and any areas along the Mississippi or Missouri rivers. Now, the St. Louis area has had a record crest of 16 feet above the flood stage, and this will continue. We have a little bit more rain happening upstream in parts of Minnesota. That will shift on out. The next couple of days actually look to be rather dry across that part of the area. Other areas that have seen quite a bit of rain, in fact, Bismarck, North Dakota, Kalispell, Montana, and Billings, Montana, we see record rainfalls for the month of July through this area, and we've had a persistent summer pattern that has stuck with us throughout, gosh, it seems like the last month or so. Our jet stream sort of has jumped back and forth a little bit, so in some occasions it pushes to the north slightly, and we're seeing rain showers across parts of North Dakota, and then it shifts back to the south, and pretty soon we're talking about flooding again across the mid-Mississippi Valley. So we'll keep you updated on what's going to happen. Rainy travel, the good news is it's not in parts of Missouri or Iowa, but we are seeing some pretty rough weather across western and west central parts of Minnesota. On Redwood Falls, several tornadoes were reported to be seen, and you can see by the areas in red, still watching for a couple of patches, we could see some severe weather. That's not the only problem. Record highs you can see from Columbus, Georgia, Atlanta, Birmingham. Everybody nearing the century mark or topping the century mark throughout the area, and that was the story across the south on Sunday, whereas the folks in the northeast enjoyed actually some pretty comfortable weather. 88 degrees in New York City, not bad. 82 though, not far behind in International Falls, whereas even the northwest saw some sunshine. Not quite as cool across the northwest, in fact pretty much close to normal, 15 degrees below normal across Montana. And we have a very high heat index once again in the areas in red across the south. So take it easy for your Monday, and also bring the umbrellas, because this area of low pressure is going to continue to shift eastward by Monday afternoon, bringing some rain into the big cities of the east. Whereas this front here will continue to be the trigger for showers and storms from Detroit right down to Cape Girardeau and over toward Oklahoma City. Heaviest rains will be in parts of Colorado. We've seen extensive rainfall around Colorado Springs, up throughout the Ohio Valley as well, and the temperatures are going to remain rather mild out ahead of the frontal system. The story will be, once again, the heat will be in place on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday even. Very hot weather across the south, and then the cooler stuff once again will come into play across the Pacific Northwest. Showers and thunderstorms will hang on Tuesday along the East Coast, will dissipate Wednesday, and a big storm system will come again across the Midwest Thursday.
Ever watch the Weather Channel Florida forecast and wished you could be there, relaxing under a palm tree in the sun? Your wish could come true by entering the Florida Fantasy Sweepstakes, brought to you by the Weather Channel and by Damp Rid Moisture Absorber products. One lucky family of 4 will jet away to the Walt Disney World Dolphin, a luxurious tropical fantasy land located in the heart of the Walt Disney World Resort in Central Florida. Explore the fanciful dolphin and all the magic of Disney, Epcot Center, the Disney MGM Studios theme park, the Magic Kingdom Park, and more. To enter, write your name, address, and phone number on a 3x5 card and send to Florida Fantasy Sweepstakes, P.O. Box 104, Dallas, Georgia 30132. Early entrants will receive a free Magic Disc Air Freshener from Damp Rid. Make your wish come true. Enter the Florida Fantasy Sweepstakes. Then tune in daily for the Weather Channel Florida forecast. Brought to you this summer by Damp Rid Moisture Absorber products.
Now, your local forecast, accurate and dependable from the Weather Channel. Current regional conditions. Special regional information. Your local 36-hour forecast from the National Weather Service. Long-range outlook. The regional forecast. The extended forecast. Coming up, more local information here on the Weather Channel. If you're traveling abroad or you have friends or family overseas, turn to International Weather middays, 41 minutes past the hour, only on the Weather Channel.
Do you suffer from morning stiffness or aches, snoring, restless sleep? You deserve a better night's sleep. Try the Contour Pillow from Comfort Track. It's anatomically designed to match the natural shape of your neck and head as it aligns and supports. Ordinary and down pillows lose their shape and don't support your neck. Don't do this to your neck. The Contour Pillow comfortably supports your neck so your muscles can relax, reducing strain and allowing you to breathe more freely.
My husband isn't snoring any longer.
I did notice when I woke up after using the Contour Pillow a lack of stiffness in my upper shoulder and neck area.
The Contour Pillow is not available in stores. Doctors and chiropractors sell similar products for $50 and even $60. Get your Contour Pillow for only $19.95 plus shipping and handling. Don't wait until you have discomfort. Order now. Call now to order and we'll give you the zippered washable cover, a $5 value, free.
Have your credit card ready. Call now. 1-800-772-6600. That's 1-800-772-6600. Or send check or money order to the address on your screen.
Now, your local forecast, accurate and dependable from the Weather Channel. The current local conditions. Regional conditions. The regional forecast.
with daytime highs under hazy sunshine, 75 to 80 right along the coast. Of course, warmer into the valleys, but still not quite as warm as it can be this time of year. Pretty strong onshore flow here will keep it cool into the valleys. Only 105 in Palm Springs and 100 up here at Barstow. Could be a lot hotter. Same story here in Northern California. Temperatures running about 5 degrees cooler than normal. And here in the Pacific Northwest, Yakima, which set a record low maximum temperature on Monday, will have a high temperature, a paltry 76 with some peekaboo sunshine.
Prepare for severe thunderstorms and flash floods with these safety tips from the Weather Channel. During a severe thunderstorm, stay inside. Avoid the phone, windows, sinks, or bathtubs. If you're outside, avoid tall trees, fields, water, small isolated sheds, or metal objects. If you're in a hardtop car, stay there. During flash flooding, leave low-lying areas and stay away from storm drains or irrigation ditches. Depend on the Weather Channel for weather warnings and the most accurate forecasts 24 hours a day.
Ever watched the Weather Channel Florida forecast and wished you could be there? Your wish could come true with our Florida Fantasy Sweepstakes. Keep watching the Weather Channel for details on how to enter.
On behalf of tonight's director, Clay Henson, and producers Laureen Chambliss and Rebecca Hunt-Keene, I'm Dave Schwartz, thanking you for watching the Weather Channel. Time for a quick look from the satellite update before we get to your forecast. Starting off in the eastern half of the country, look at these thunderstorms that rumbled through Ohio early on Monday, did some flooding for morning rush hour around Wheeling, and then moved through the mid-Atlantic states with very heavy rains that lingered into the late evening around Atlantic City. Now that activity is dying down. So is these thunder showers that developed in the afternoon heat. Meanwhile, here in the midsection of the country, things dried out, at least the atmosphere did, but look what's firing up out here in the western high plains. All that'll be moving east into the Mississippi River Valley, unfortunately, the next couple of days. We're clear here in the southwest, but more showers and thunder showers lingering in the Pacific Northwest, and that energy will head into the plains later this week.
Weather Channel. Weather you can always turn to for accurate, dependable weather forecasts 24 hours a day.
Good evening, I'm Dave Schwartz from the Weather Channel. It's 1:30. It would seem the last thing that Midwesterners need is more water, but that is just what they're receiving tonight. That is water to drink. In many areas, the floodwaters have affected the water supplies, so relief efforts like this one in Greensboro, North Carolina, have become a common sight. The Red Cross organized a bottled water collection point over the weekend where supplies were collected until this morning, Monday morning. All the drinking water was loaded up and is now on its way to the Midwest. Meanwhile, the folks in North Carolina have their own problems, not with drinking water, but with lots of heat. Look at this, the forecast, the heat index forecast in the danger zone for parts of eastern North Carolina all the way around into East Texas. And if you're in the area shaded in dark red, you, my friend, are in the danger zone. Expect heat index values to exceed 105 degrees. So make sure you have plenty of water, plenty of non-alcoholic fluid in particular, and also non-caffeinated fluid. Both alcohol and caffeine are diuretics. Last time you had a few beers, perhaps, or a few cups of coffee, you know that you had to get rid of that fluid in fairly short order, and that's not what we need during a heat wave. We need to keep the water in our bodies. So drink lots of non-alcoholic and non-caffeinated beverages. Slow down, stay out of the sun, dress lightweight colors, and also lightweight. Use air conditioning if possible and get into the shade, because when temperatures are this warm, 98 degrees, I tell you, an extra glass of water can really come in handy. Dallas, Texas, 98, Orlando, 94, and even in Washington, D.C., with a temperature of 90 and a dew point temperature in the low 70s, it is going to feel more like 100 degrees until this cold front blows on through. It probably won't blow on through the nation's capital until Wednesday, just kind of creep on through. Then a little bit of drier air moves south and eastward out of Canada. To the south of that front, warm and humid. Only afternoon thunder showers will break the intense searing heat during the afternoon. Where the sun is shining all day, I wouldn't be surprised to see 100 degrees plus a couple. That's in the shade. You know, temperatures like these during the day on Tuesday are recorded in the shade. That's what it feels like in the shade. A lot hotter out there in the sun. Cool here to the north. Boy, that's a place to cool down. Do a little kayaking out there on out there in Lake Superior, for example, near the Twin Ports. Here in the Pacific Northwest, even cooler. We've been breaking records left and right. You know, actually we have been breaking records left and right. On Monday, we had record low high temperatures in Seattle and Yakima, low high temperatures. Same story in Wilmington, New Jersey, and Newark, New Jersey, with a record low high temperatures. Just seems like yesterday when we were telling you about 100 degree plus readings. Here's a look at the jet stream, and that shows us it will continue to be cool in the west, cool initially here in the northeast. Notice the northwest flow, and nice and hot everywhere under this dome here from southeast all the way into the plains. And that looks like it'll continue. Maybe a little warm up toward the weekend in the northeast. Continued very cool, surprisingly cool, and unsettled in the northwest. Temperature-wise, day by day, here we go. The deeper, the hotter the color, the hotter the temperature, the hotter it's going to feel out there. Bundle up yourself with an ice bag or something. It is just non-stop heat every day this month. Atlanta, Georgia, and on back toward Dallas. Of course, we're used to it. Mid to upper 90s and overnight lows in the mid to upper 70s, so you really don't get a chance to cool down. Duluth, 70s. Seattle, 60s for high temperatures. It's going to be another cool weekend here in the Pacific Northwest. Even cool into northern California. Temperatures have been relatively cool. Well, here's our frontal boundary. It'll kind of get realigned a little bit on Wednesday. Stretching from the Carolinas back up into the northern plains, the focal point for showers and thunder showers. Folks in North Carolina will be pleased to see that. Back up here, nice and dry. Back down here, nice and dry. And back up here, nice and showery. Cool Pacific Northwest. And it looks like that's the forecast ad infinitum, or at least ad Saturday.
Showing any precipitation in your area. Intensity is indicated by the color code at the top of the screen.
Ancient Chinese fitness program that began 2,500 years ago. Now, learn how to reduce stress and boost your vitality with David Carradine's Tai Chi workout video.
Hello, I am David Carradine, and for 23 years I have studied Tai Chi to help achieve total harmony of mind, body, and spirit.
Let David Carradine show you the benefits of Tai Chi. It improves strength and endurance, greater energy and vitality, improved flexibility and muscle tone, plus much more.
For me, Tai Chi is a great stress reducer, and it really helps me to relax.
Best of all, David Carradine's Tai Chi workout is perfect for men or women, young or old, no matter what shape you're in.
Let me be your personal trainer to help you unlock the secret powers of Tai Chi.
David Carradine's Tai Chi workout on VHS is only $19.95 and not available in stores. Call now to order.
We saw some very warm conditions across the southeast today, with heat indices up to 108 in Macon, Georgia.
And the thermometer read 102. It'll be back tomorrow. Your forecast next.
Say, that's a great-looking camera you have. Where'd you get it? No, don't tell me. One of those specialty camera shops. Wait, I'll bet it's a big-name department store. I'll bet it set you back a bundle.
Actually, no. Introducing the Nippon 35mm focus-free camera. The hot shoe is synchronized for electronic flash, a 50mm lens, and a tripod mount. It also comes with a convenient neck strap, a deluxe leatherette carrying case, a professional 50mm sunshade, and a 2-year unlimited warranty. With all these features, you'd think this camera would cost over $100. Well, think again. Call right now, and the first 10,000 customers who order the Nippon camera will also get 100 rolls of free Kodak film with purchase processing. The simple, lightweight, and affordable Nippon 35mm camera and 100 rolls of free Kodak film with purchase processing. This no-fuss camera can be yours for only $19.95.
Say, where can I get one?
Just pick up the phone and call.
Dave will be back up next with a look at the tropics, but we're going to have a look at your business traveler's forecast coming up right now.
Test the water before you hit the beach. Select from over 150 beach forecasts. 95 cents a minute. Call 1-900-WEATHER.
Every few years, you're in the same tough spot. You've got to paint again. But first, you've got to scrape. Your extension ladder weaves and wobbles, and the eaves and overhangs are still ahead. Then you see your neighbor casually redoing his entire exterior with a garden hose. Why is it so easy for him and so hard for you? Your neighbor had vinyl siding from Sears installed on his house, and so can you. Call this toll-free number right now and take advantage of this special offer. Siding from Sears transforms all kinds of homes beautifully. Wood, stucco, brick homes. And look what vinyl coverings do for eaves. So call now, right this minute. And before you know it, you'll see your home from a completely new perspective.
Call 1-800-255-9200 for your free in-home consultation and estimate on vinyl siding from Sears. Sears installed home improvements have over 1 million satisfied customers and counting. Call now.
You're watching the Weather Channel for accurate forecasts at your convenience. Weather you can always turn to. Now, your local forecast, accurate and dependable from the Weather Channel. Current regional conditions. Special regional information. local 36-hour forecast from the National Weather Service. Long-range outlook. The regional forecast. The extended forecast. Your local radar showing any precipitation and its movement during the past 90 minutes. Intensity is indicated by the color code at the top of the screen. Prepare for severe thunderstorms and flash floods with these safety tips from the Weather Channel. During a severe thunderstorm, stay inside. Avoid the phone, windows, sinks, or bathtubs. If you're outside, avoid tall trees, fields, water, small isolated sheds, or metal objects. If you're in a hardtop car, stay there. During flash flooding, leave low-lying areas and stay away from storm drains or irrigation ditches. Depend on the Weather Channel for weather warnings and the most accurate forecasts 24 hours a day.
Tropical weather review, 24 hours a day. Let's have at it. Here's a look at Hurricane Eugene. Now here's the United States, here's Mexico, and here obviously is Hurricane Eugene with maximum sustained winds still 110 miles per hour. The movement is to the west-northwest at 15 miles per hour, and the last hurricane that moved into these waters has been reduced to that little blip. So this one is tracking the same way, moving over some cooler waters. This storm will be weakening. Here's a close-up look at it. Kind of hard to see the eye, but that's where it is. Here's an infrared shot of this hurricane as it tracks off toward the west. And the showers and a few thunder showers around what used to be Tropical Storm Dora just a couple of days ago. Matter of fact, some of these clouds here are headed for Hawaii. Right now, we've just got partly cloudy skies across the String of Pearls and an upper level area of low pressure spinning around, but you'll notice moving in on the right side of your picture the remnants of that tropical depression. Dora, as it moves on in, there it comes, and there'll be some more showers here, but nothing to write home about. Back east, we pick up generally clear skies across the Gulf of Mexico. The Caribbean, boy, can you get any clearer than that? If you have any travel plans, head down to the tropics over the next several days, absolutely no problem. Even out into the tropical Atlantic, there's nothing happening here for maybe 1,500 miles east of the Windward and Leeward Islands here, down toward Trinidad and Venezuela. The next piece of action we have is this little area. This area of showers and thunder showers has continued to flare up from time to time. We're keeping a close eye on this right to the north of the intertropical convergence zone. It's pretty far north, up about 12 or 13 degrees north latitude, and that means there's the possibility of some development. More thunderstorms moving across the Sahel region of southern Mauritania. As those move out over the tropical Atlantic here, we'll keep an eye on it. But as you can see, from the central Atlantic all the way into the Gulf of Mexico, things are very, very quiet tropical-wise. Here across the lower 48, thunderstorms that blew up during the afternoon and produced 1 to 2 inch rainfalls from South Georgia into southern Louisiana pretty much died out. But look at the activity that remains tonight from New Mexico up into Kansas, and the tremendous thunderstorms in eastern Montana and the Dakotas. More rough weather on the way. We'll check it next.
Do you suffer from morning stiffness or aches, snoring, restless sleep? You deserve a better night's sleep. Try the Contour Pillow from Comfort Track. It's anatomically designed to match the natural shape of your neck and head as it aligns and supports. Ordinary and down pillows lose their shape and don't support your neck. Don't do this to your neck. The Contour Pillow comfortably supports your neck so your muscles can relax, reducing strain and allowing you to breathe more freely.
My husband isn't snoring any longer.
I did notice when I woke up after using the Contour Pillow a lack of stiffness in my upper shoulder and neck area.
The Contour Pillow is not available in stores. Doctors and chiropractors sell similar products for $50 and even $60. Get your Contour Pillow for only $19.95 plus shipping and handling. Don't wait until you have discomfort. Order now. Call now to order, and we'll give you the zippered washable cover, a $5 value, free.
Have your credit card ready. Call now. 1-800-772-6600. That's 1-800-772-6600. Or send check or money order to the address on your screen.
Now, your local forecast, accurate and dependable from the Weather Channel. Coming up, a look at your local radar. But first, the current conditions. Your local 36-hour forecast from the National Weather Service. Forecast for cities nationwide. Forecast. The current local radar showing any precipitation in your area. Intensity is indicated by the color code at the top of the screen.
Ever watched the Weather Channel Florida forecast and wished you could be there? Your wish could come true with our Florida Fantasy Sweepstakes. Keep watching the Weather Channel for details on how to enter.
And now it's time for the Michelin Drivers Report, brought to you by Michelin and your participating Michelin dealers.
Could be a rough ride on I-70 tonight with flash flood potential across the area. As you move from Kansas City off to the west over towards Denver, Colorado on I-70, there is some slick roadways out there, and of course might be some flooded roadways as well, so do be careful. Scattered showers still blossoming along the frontal system on from central Illinois on off to the west and on off the Pacific Northwest as well, but much drier conditions over Wisconsin and Iowa, but that's going to be changing over the coming 24 to 48 hours. Now across the rest of the nation, not much happening there. Northeast, pretty much dry until you get into a little bit of a shower activity in the northern Green and White Mountains of Vermont and New Hampshire. Also a few widely scattered isolated thunder showers from the panhandle of Florida back off towards the west, but pretty much all is quiet off Pacific Northwest until you get on up around Seattle, Washington, where you actually see a little bit of snow activity, about 8,000 feet or so in the Cascades of Olympics and Cascades of Washington and Oregon. Little thunderstorms still blossoming through western Montana.
Regional Michelin drivers reports, call the Weather Channel Connection, 1-900-WEATHER.
High-performance cars, luxury performance cars, family cars, light trucks. If you've got the car, we've got the tire. Michelin, because so much is riding on your tires.
Find
Find Michelin tires at this dealer near you, because so much is riding on your tires.
Well, the focus on flooding the past few days have been on the Midwest, but also folks in New Mexico getting in on the act with a little bit of flash flooding. This is out of Canoncito, New Mexico last night, where we saw some flooding occurring just outside of Albuquerque with 1.9 inches east of Tramway. In the early morning hours of Tuesday, you can see quite a bit of damage torn up from these flash floods. Also today, Portales, Tuesday afternoon, picking up about 2.8 inches of rainfall. We'll take a look and see that old satellite looper today showing those blow-ups of thunderstorms just up against the mountain ranges and into the panhandle of Texas. Back off over the mountains, things are on the dry side from Southern California back off into Arizona, where sections of Arizona racing on upwards in the 1-teens around Lake Havasu City. Rain continues to fall Pacific Northwest. You can see all kinds of low cloud cover, keeping the temperatures very cool up here. 59 degrees the afternoon high in Seattle, Washington, and even just as cool further east you go.
Coming up, a look at your local radar. But first, the current local conditions. Current regional conditions. Local 36-hour forecast from the National Weather Service. Extended forecast. Special regional information. The forecast for cities nationwide. Forecast. Your local radar showing any precipitation and its movement during the past 90 minutes. Intensity is indicated by the color code at the top of the screen. Watching the Weather Channel. Weather you can always turn to for accurate, dependable weather forecasts 24 hours a day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Weather Channel. All the night owls and early birds. I'm Bruce Edwards here with Jim Cantori. It's the 21st day of July, and it's 5 a.m. Eastern, 2 a.m. Pacific time. Time to look at who's getting wet on a Wednesday morning. And as you can see, the midsection of the country is getting hammered again with some pretty good storms across Kansas, portions of Oklahoma on into Texas, and other thunderstorms up into the Dakotas. Other than that, we're looking at pretty quiet weather. A few scattered thunder showers occurring offshore in the Gulf and in the South Atlantic, but nothing much onshore at the present present time. We've got the action in the midsection. We zero in first of all to the north, the Dakotas. There's Minot, North Dakota, Dickinson, there's Bismarck, and down towards Pierre. And you can see a cluster of rain and embedded thunderstorms steadily heading off to the east-northeast at 25, especially as you get towards Pierre. Notice these storms are rather intense as they're working their way on inland, so be ready for that one. Here we go, working our way farther south now around Kansas. Now here's Nebraska, here's Kansas, here's Concordia, Salina, Russell, Kansas, Hill City. The intensity of the storms is easing ever so slightly, but still some heavy downpours of rain, especially around Russell, Kansas. And that area of thunderstorms continues to sag south towards Gage, Oklahoma. Everything's working to the north-northeast.
Do all luxury cars deaden your sense of hearing? Your sense of touching? Feeling the road? Not when your luxury car is one of the new BMW 5 Series V8s. Their sense of the road reduces the competition to senseless luxury.
Forecast. Your local radar showing any precipitation and its movement during the past 90 minutes. Intensity is indicated by the color code at the top of the screen. Is the
in Atlanta, Georgia, 102 in Charleston, and across much of the Deep South. We're talking about some mid to upper 90s. That trend will continue. Here's a look at our current weather map. You can see why. We are looking at some cooling relief up to the north of this front, which is now just about stopping right along the Georgia-Tennessee border. And up to the north again, we're looking at much cooler readings across New England. Here comes some more rain back into the Midwest, where you don't need it across Illinois, Missouri, Iowa. Last night, eastern Kansas, some locations and some localized areas saw upwards of 10 to 12 inches of rainfall. More could. We saw some damaging tornadoes. We saw at least 4 of them right around 6 o'clock local time. That's Mountain Daylight Time now in Washington County, Colorado. At least one farm was destroyed. It looks like the same scenario could be replaying itself over one more time this afternoon. So watch out across the western plains and northeastern Colorado. These monsters, which you're looking at right now, could develop very, very quickly come later today across the northern plains, central plains, as far westward as much of northeastern Colorado, mainly to the northeast of Denver, so watch out for that as well. Let's go back to the weather maps, and we'll show you lots of cloud cover throughout much of the northwest. This trend will continue, looking at that very strong upper level storm.
The color code at the top of the screen.
When is a stamp not just a stamp?
Stamp, this is a legend.
When is a stamp not just a stamp?
We'll first off start you out with where the origins of the tropical seasons are. Now that we're into the month of August, we basically watch the entire Atlantic Ocean for any sort of development. The reason being is now we're getting into later in the summer and we're starting to see the ocean temperatures warm up quite a bit. In fact, right on into the coast of Africa, places that we do watch. And actually, this area right here is called the Intertropical Convergence Zone, and it's getting a little bit more active as time goes on. What happens here is we see the storm systems that move off the coast of Africa on into the waters. The warmer the waters, the better these storm systems stick together and can get some sort of tropical development going. Right now we have a lot of thunderstorms out here, but we don't really have anything organizing itself or becoming any sort of having any sort of a spin with it. It's just kind of clusters of thunderstorms here and there. We do notice off to the far corner of our screen, though, we have some pretty intense storms here moving on through the Windward Islands, and we are seeing some heavy thunderstorms around the Barbados area, picking up about, let's see, about an inch, 1.6 inches, I believe, was report there. Trinidad picked up nearly an inch of rain as a cluster of storms roams on through that area. Also, we have a cluster of storms now moving on toward Cuba, and nothing really tropical here, just a big cluster of storms, an easterly wave kind of moving on through the area. So that's about it. The tropics are actually very quiet. A frontal system sagging down across parts of South Florida, bringing in some showers here. And as this thing continues to move on, we could see some showers develop in the Keys as we head into later on, probably the next couple of days. So that's the situation in the Atlantic. The Pacific, also no real organization anywhere in this general vicinity either. We've got a lot of clouds, but no real organization happening here. We notice that our monsoonal moisture is rather active. It's pushing up through parts of Mexico, sort of being squelched, though, as an area of high pressure is sitting basically right over Las Vegas at this time. So we're not getting a whole lot of tropical moisture to work its way up into parts of Arizona and into Utah. As far as Hawaii is concerned, we have a lot of high clouds drifting throughout the area, but no tropical storms are heading anywhere into the Hawaiian Islands. So certainly good news for the folks out in Hawaii, or if you're planning a vacation there. As far as the rest of the country is concerned, we do have a front that is dropping on through this midsections of the country. The good news is it continues to press to the south, and that's bringing the rains away from St. Louis. We're expecting the big crest on the St. Louis, or on the Mississippi River around St. Louis tomorrow. That's another story in itself. Meanwhile, strong storms from Cape Girardeau back into, well, the southern parts of Indiana and over toward Indianapolis. All right, let's take a look right now at our forecast as we head into your Monday. Back to work.
Forecast, accurate and dependable from the Weather Channel. Coming up, a look at your local radar. But first, the current conditions. Your local 36-hour forecast from the National Weather Service. Forecast for cities nationwide. Regional forecast. The current local radar showing any precipitation in your area. Intensity is indicated by the color code at the top of the screen. The blizzard of 1888, the superstorm of 1993, the 1935 hurricane, Hurricane Andrew, 1992, Johnstown flood, 1889, Johnstown flood, 1977. How has technology changed our ability to respond to natural disasters? Learn the surprising truth as the Weather Channel presents Great Weather Catastrophes, Sunday, August 15th at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, here on the Weather Channel.
People who've read true crime, the controversy,
and your participating Michelin dealers.
We're still looking at some rain continuing around Hobbs, New Mexico, back into Lubbock, Texas, and also some storms continue to develop around the Pueblo, Colorado area, back east to the Crowley County area. So continue to watch these storms. Could see some heavy rains. We've seen large hail out of these storms that are moving on to the east-southeast. Meanwhile, we're watching another area of storms as we extend up into Illinois and Indiana. Pretty good line of storms right now around Brown County and back toward Lawrenceville and down toward Carmel in Metropolis in Illinois. We're going to watch these areas. We've seen also some very large hail around Indianapolis from these several locations. Therefore, we're still going to watch this for the development of some severe weather, Indiana, Illinois, and back on through Colorado and New Mexico. Just a sliver of a watch left here through the central parts of Illinois and Indiana until 11 p.m. Central Daylight Time, and then another watch a bit further to the south. This one is in effect until 1 a.m. Central Daylight Time. Watch out for a little bit of fog developing along the eastern coastal areas around Albany possibility, and also some of the beaches of Southern California. You could see visibility is reduced to a half a mile or less.
For regional Michelin drivers reports, call the Weather Channel Connection, 1-900-WEATHER.
Let it rain. Let it snow. You've got Michelin's new all-season MXV4. A luxury performance tire with a very special feature. Climate controlled. Michelin. Because so much is riding on your tires.
Find Michelin tires at this dealer near you because so much is riding on your tires.
How has technology changed our ability to respond to natural disasters? Watch Great Weather Catastrophes, Sunday, August 15th, only on the Weather Channel. Coming up, a look at your local radar. But first, the current local conditions.